In today's session, we are going to look at what to continue where we stopped last Friday. Because last Friday we had looked at state, we had defined state, because state is one of the necessary things to understand in React. Once you understand state, you can list your value maybe close to maybe 30 to 40% of the whole React library. And at the end of Friday, we went ahead and looked at React hooks and how you can use React hooks to manipulate state. Okay. So in today's session, we're going to continue with hooks. But before we continue with hooks, we also want to look at lifecycle methods in the class components. Yeah, so at least we can know why React hooks were created. Okay, because once you understand how lifecycle methods work in React classes, the component classes, then you understand why we did React hooks and why we use React hooks. So I'm going to open up the documentation of React hooks. Also going to share a link, okay, in the chat. So this, you can look at the actual documentation of React hooks. Okay, so let me share a link with you. Okay. So I've shared a link in the chat. You can just go to react.org. Let me just open that also. Yeah. And here, yeah. So this is the documentation about React hooks. Okay, and it explains at least why we need React hooks to some extent. So because they will say React hooks is a new addition in React 16.8. So if you're using React below 16.8, of course you want to be able to use React hooks. Okay, and they let you use state and other React features without writing a class. Okay, together. And the other features that are necessary if you're doing a React app, which we didn't look at last Friday, is what we call lifecycle methods. Okay, lifecycle methods. So I'm going to also maybe open up another tab for React just.org. I hope you can hear me. If you can't hear me, of course, feel free to. So if you couldn't hear me, okay, wait one more time, and I think you are not hearing me for the last couple of minutes. Okay, so let me repeat what I said before. So last Friday we looked at state and looked at how you can manipulate state using class components, wrote some class components. I went ahead and created a simple app using our class component, which we said we can just change it to a functional component, and we looked at how you can do it using React hook, and the first hook we looked at was use state. Okay, so in today's lesson we're going to look at React hooks. Okay, and I've opened up the documentation of React hooks. Okay? And I will share the link in the chat. So you feel free to read along with me, or you can keep it for reference. Okay. Yeah. So okay. And it says React hooks is a new addition in React 16.8. So here is React 16.7 and below. Of course, you'd be able to use React hooks. Okay, and the saying React hooks allows us to write, use state and other features without writing a class. Okay, and we saw how we write a class component, and we saw that a class component, if you're new to React, okay, if you're new to React, a class component can get a bit tricky because you have to know object-oriented programming to be able to at least try to use React. But now you don't need to know object-oriented programming. You just need to know the new features of ES6 to be able to use to learn React, and that means makes your learning curve quite a bit low, other than trying to learn classes, which get confusing to some extent. Okay, because you are dealing with this keyword, you are dealing with the super constructors, which get all confusing, especially if you are new to JavaScript. So that's why React hooks were created, so that they can help guys who are coming to React to make their life easy, and also to make React more efficient. Yeah, but if you feel like you want to learn more about why React hooks were created, especially those who have at least experienced React, you have at least tried React classes, and you can go ahead and read about the FAQs. Okay, and it explains so much about things like why React hooks were created, in replacing classes, all that. Okay, and it explains quite a lot. Okay, things like which version of React to include, do I need to rewrite all my class components, all this, to answer all the questions. Okay, yeah, and it also helps you maybe have a question and say, how do I do this? Okay, maybe how do I do this? Okay, and like, for example, like, what does this mean? You can read about it. Okay, and because I won't give you everything, but if you have documentation, you learn more. And of course, they'll tell you how does it work. Okay, and the words. All that later on, following implementation, also trying to go through it with you guys. Okay, so but by now, before we actually go and look at React hooks, we're going to look at other features that classes provide. Okay, the other features that classes provide, something called lifecycle methods. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and search for here. It's in my search life. Okay, cycle methods. Good. So of course, I think at top here there will be lifecycle methods. Let's first move to the top. Okay. Okay, right. Okay. So let me move at the top to see lifecycle methods. Yeah, so lifecycle methods, and they tell you like if you want more details, you can of course look at like cycle methods. But for lifecycle methods, they allow us to add let me say another page. Yeah, so they allow us to manipulate state and also add more functionality to our application. Okay, like maybe to load data, to check if our application has loaded, check if the DOM has already been changed, all that. Okay, check maybe if I have added a new, like something has happened to our DOM. Okay, all that. Okay, so and I think it's down here. Okay, so of course they tell you how to convert a class, okay, into a class, and we look at this. Okay, we look at how to create a class component. Okay, and they'll tell you how to actually do it. Okay, so you can of course go ahead and read. Let me still share a link with you here, and you can go ahead and read about this. Okay, about lifecycle methods and how you can just apply them if you are coming from a functional component. Okay, and they'll tell you I think one of the lifecycle methods there is like for example there is component did mount, component will mount. Okay, all that. Okay, and they try to explain to you all this. Okay, and the one which is commonly used, okay, is something called component did mount. Okay, and it says it's a method that runs after the component output has been rendered to the DOM. Okay, so remember I told you React creates a virtual DOM. Okay, I think that's what the question is about the DOM. So component mount checks has the virtual DOM and DOM like has it been like has the battery DOM updated the actual DOM. That's how it does, and it explains more. Okay, go and try it out. Okay, again, I got this album. I'm just showing that you can go ahead and read through this. Okay, understand this because it's quite straightforward. Okay, yeah, and it explains quite a lot if you're confused mostly, okay, about some things. But in our case, you're going to skip all this component mount, component moment, especially in the future, because we're going to be using React And React gives us a better understanding of this, okay? Because you have to of course, remember component mount, all this, okay? Everything seems kind of instead of remembering all these methods, you have to remember a few methods, which I'll share with you, which are provided by React okay? Yeah, so we're going to try out, okay, something with this class with light methods, okay. So in our case, okay, for example, let me just open up VS Code so that I can show an example of how we use that, okay. So maybe in our example, I'm going to let me say this, okay. I've already created a boilerplate, okay, for my application, and it's simply you can easily create React app. Remember, create React app, then it will give you so hope you can see this. Okay. So I think I'm going to share one more thing which I want to share with you guys. Okay. So all the code for today, I'll push it to this repository and I'll share it with you in the chat. Okay, so this is the link to the repository. Okay, React snippets. Yeah, but our application, which will be the blog app, will be a different repository. This one is for snippets. Okay, so in my case, like always, I've opened up a React project using Create React App, okay? And I removed all the other things which you don't need: the tests, the app.js, the service worker, all that. Just clean up, okay? I don't want to show you this because I think I'm being repetitive if I do that, okay? But so that I've just cleaned up my app to contain an app.js, JSX, okay, index.js, and our public, which has our HTML, okay. So then run yarn start, okay. I'm using yarn, not npm, but to work the same. Yarn and npm are almost the same thing. They do the same work, okay. So okay, as our app is running, it's going to serve. I'm going to go ahead and create some few folders because I want us to have our work separated, okay. I could go ahead and write all the code here, but I don't like having bloated work, okay. So I always create a components folder, like always, okay. A components folder, okay. And I told you components folder can be anything, can make it what we want, okay. It's just convention to name it components, okay. But it's up to you. If you like to name it your name, go ahead, as long as you can remember and your team agrees to use that same name, okay. So I'm going to create a file called let's just call it life cycle, okay, methods, just that, okay, methods .jsx, okay. I told before JSX and JS are almost the same thing in React, okay. So JS allows us to have syntax highlighting, and also to have we're going to look at how to add ESLint. It allows us to do good linting, especially if you're using React, okay. And I'm going to go ahead and import React from React, because that's what you always do in a component from React, okay. Okay, and of course I'm bringing component, okay. Component, remember we had this component on Friday, and the component is a class provided by React, which allows us to write class components, okay. So I'll create a class component. I'm going to call it lifecycle. Let's call it lifecycle, okay. Then matter what you name it, okay. So lifecycle, then I will of course extend, okay, to extend the component. Then of course the basic method which we usually use is a render, okay, and render returns our JSX, okay. That's like the template, okay. So I really like using fragments because they have some errors. Okay, so I prefer using fragments every time. I always use fragments. Okay, I think this is supposed to be a method, not that. Okay? Not that other method. So yeah, good. Then format this. So this can be between. Okay, so I really prefer. Actually prefer. I like having this fragment because it just makes things okay. Maybe I'll just say, let's say each one. Say live cycle methods. Okay, good. Hope I'm not confusing you with this. Okay, good. Yeah. So in our example, we're going to use a library provided given to us by JavaScript. Okay, and I hope this library you understand it. Okay, it's called going to use fetch. Okay, fetch. Okay, because the only way for me to actually show you why we need live methods is because we are dealing with data. Okay, understanding data and changing data. Okay, so okay, save. Okay, let me just see what's happening in our application. Okay, so of course I'll open up here, and of course I will say localhost 3000. Good. Yeah, I know this is a bit repetitive, but you always have to learn. Okay, you have to repeat to understand. Okay, so good. Okay, so to try out a live cycle method. Okay, I'm going to try out the most common one. Okay, I'm not going to add a constructor. Maybe I even add a constructor here. Maybe a constructor here. Okay, because I'm also dealing with class. Okay, we're dealing with state. Okay, so a constructor. Okay, now constructor takes in super. Okay, calls a super function. Now, the super function allows us to bring in all the values from the component. Okay, so I'm calling super. Then of course I create a state. So this dot state. Okay, because I want to use state. I want to use a state. Okay, state. Okay, equals to. So good. Okay, so yes, I'm just the boilerplate for our class component. Okay, so we're going to use fetch. Okay, because I want to show you one okay, called state. We're going to use fetch. Fetch. If you look at fetch, because I'm not big to like a lot of things on the board, so but bear with me. So we're going to at least we're going to converge together. Okay, so I'm going to use fetch. Okay, fetch. So fetch. So fetch. Okay, then use mdn. Okay, because mdn. Okay, let's use JavaScript.info because JavaScript.info is quite kind of a bit cleaner. Okay, JavaScript.info here, and we said fetch. Let's wait for it to load. And fetch allows us to send requests to the server and get the information. Okay, so simply that is a bit okay. So fetch just allows us to get it. Okay, because this is not explaining what I want. Okay, but fetch as a whole is a library which is inbuilt, which comes in with JavaScript. Okay, which allows us to make requests to the server. Okay, to get data from the server. Okay, and I think we did look at promises, but for now maybe I'll have a lesson for promises. Okay, later on. But fetch it allows us to fetch data using using the HTTP standards. Okay, yeah. We're going to look at that later, but that's not fetch is a library which we're going to be using as promise-based library. We're going to look at fetch. We're going to have like a whole list of promises, async, classes, all that later on. But now I know fetch is a promise-based library which allows us to get data. Maybe interact with APIs. Okay, just that. Okay, got APIs later on, but now that's not new mind that fetch allows us to get data. Okay, just that. Okay, and this is like an example how to fetch data. Okay, so we're going to try it out, okay, in a minute. Okay, so before we try it out, we're going to try it at least to get to get some data from somewhere. Okay, so we're going to get all this data on, but for now, this one as fetch allows us to get data. Okay, so I'm going to go to something called JSON placeholder, and JSON placeholder is just a fake API. Okay, don't look at all APIs that are on, but no, it's just a place which has lots of data. Okay, data which is in JSON format. Okay, JSON format. I think look at JSON format. Okay, look at JSON. Okay, but and it allows us what to fetch data. Sorry, saying JSON placeholder free fake online REST API for testing. Okay, so it gives us free data. Okay, to test. Okay, and they're giving us an example here. Okay, try it out. Okay, and saying I run this code. So I'm going to try this out. Okay, try this out. Okay, control copy. And remember it's JavaScript. Okay, so I can just inspect and custom sequence the size. Error fragments tags. Okay, yeah. Yes, I'll explain the fragments that I want, but let's first I want to show you how fetch works in a minute. Okay, but I want to look at fetch as a whole on its own, but as now because I'm going to use fetch, so I'm going to show you an example. Okay, so you can say the same a fetch JSON type something. Okay, and maybe you do so example. Okay, and of course you see it waits a promise. Go look at promise data on, then it returns for us some data. Okay, this is the data. Okay, and data is in something called JSON. Okay, or in our case here it is an object. Okay, so and I say you can get maybe if I just go back and say one more time, paste here and remove maybe the one, I think I'm going to get all the to-dos. Okay, yeah, I'm getting lots of to-dos. Okay, because we'll try that. Okay, so I'm going to just copy this. Okay, copy this fetch code. Okay, then I'm going to do it in our application. Okay, so someone's asking about fragments. Okay, so fragments is something provided by what? By React. Okay, fragment, yeah, and fragment allows us to have what we call I like having it called an invisible div. Okay, an invisible wrapper. Okay, which allows us maybe it's like a div. Okay, which would appear on our page. Okay, but allows us to wrap our application that having extra divs. Okay, but in the new, I think React 16.8, yeah, 16.8, you don't need to write, because we used to write something called like fragment here. Okay, fragment. Okay, like that. But I will no longer have to write a fragment bit of it. You simply write empty tags. Okay, empty HTML tags, and it works the same way as a fragment. Okay, and fragment is more like it's a React thing. Okay, which allows us to have an empty div, so an empty wrapper, which would appear in our DOM. Okay, maybe I'll share some resources about fragments later on. Okay, after maybe I'll share them. Okay, in the chat when we are finishing up. Okay, but for now, one of the let me go back to lifecycle methods. Okay, one of the most commonest used thing we saw was component. Okay, component did mount. Okay, and if you're using JSX, special JSX, that has to have what is called syntax highlighting, and it gives us snippets. Okay, maybe I was going to use component mount. Okay, and I think they can even give you maybe the expression of what is component mount. Okay, so component mount is called immediately after component is mounted. Okay, together setting state here will trigger relay and together. Okay, we're going to try it out. Okay, together. So the key factor of us using lifecycle methods, okay, because we want to trigger changes in our application. Okay, because last time we looked at something called use state. Okay, and use state simply updates the state. Okay, and when you update the state, your application will enhance. Okay, but now imagine in our case we're fetching data. Okay, fetching data. There's no event on there's no browser event. Okay, let me just put here data, and data is empty here. Okay, so last time we had something what I use, okay, I used to you can open up that from last time, okay, there was some there, okay. Okay, so if you remember from last time, okay, we looked at a form, okay, and you could click, okay, you could input. Those are user events, okay, and when the user clicks, that's when you actually go ahead and update, okay. But in our case, imagine you want to load data, okay, but there's no event, there's no browser event, okay. Maybe you can say on when the browser loads, but that's kind of hectic, okay. To always because you're trying to use React, not write JavaScript, plain JavaScript, okay. But now we are checking. We are trying to say because remember we haven't looked at promises, okay. But a promise has an quote. You have to wait, okay. You wait for something to happen, okay. You're going to look at promises later on, but not promises. Just have a face code, wait for something to happen. So imagine you fetch data on your application. If you fetch data, it's waiting because let me show you an example here. Okay, and yes, reliability here. Okay, maybe you have your client. Okay, client is there. Then maybe you have your database. Okay, database together. What will be your backend here? Okay, backend. Okay, or the server. Okay, together. So for you to get data from the server, you call some function, okay, because maybe you call here maybe fetch, okay, fetch, okay, you fetch data, okay. That means it has to go together, go to the backend, then it comes back, okay, then it comes back. At least that's what it is, okay. Then it comes back, okay. Then it comes back with the data, okay. It goes, fetches, then it comes back, okay. So that bit of it, it has to wait, okay. That's why we have promises, because promises allow us to wait for data, to write what we call asynchronous data, okay, asynchronous functions. We're going to look at all that later on, but for now I just want us to look at lifecycle methods and fetch, okay, real quick, okay. So here I'm going to copy and paste the other function which I got from just to place all that together. That's that, okay, very simple. Then we name format this, okay. I will go ahead and inside this function together, I may store this instead of console.log. I'm going to go ahead and call use state, okay. And remember set state. Remember set state is something provided by the component, by React component, okay. So I'm going to say set state, okay. Set state, okay. This is set state, okay. Then I will go ahead and set the state of data, okay, to data, okay, together. Just that, okay. Yeah, format. And one more thing which I want us to look at, okay, which is by the way, is mapping data, okay. Is actually getting data, okay, mapping data over, like I can say map, because if you look at this first, if you look at our application, if you look at this promises together and this data is in an array, okay. Hope you can see this, okay. It's an array of data, okay. So we want to do something called map, and map is map, okay. And map allows us to create a new array and maybe loop. It's more like a for loop, okay. But in this case, it creates a new array, then it loops, it creates a new array, then it loops through it, okay. Yeah, and I don't think I need to show you how this works, okay, because I'd ask you guys, I think we are doing JavaScript, look at array methods, okay, but still we'll use all these methods and they will be quite easy to understand, okay. So I'm going to use map here, okay. this map here. If you are confused, you go look at that data. Okay, I'm going to say map. Okay, sorry, I'm going to use this. Does it mean that data isn't it? Yes. Okay, so from last time we looked at state. Okay, and data is a state object. Okay, it's a state value. Okay, so I'm saying this one state. Okay, on data. Okay, so you're saying this one state. Okay, then you're saying one of the values is data. Okay, then you're saying here this one state set this one state data is about the JSON on data. JSON rather. You're saying okay. That's the saying okay, update the data goes from this API. Okay, make it update and make it I can populate this. Okay, I think there should be an empty array to make things more consistent. Okay, so we are simply saying okay, so the fetch will fetch that. Okay, from this JSON thresholder API, then to make a response to change the data somewhere here. Then on this line here, we are simply saying okay, let the data okay, this data here now equal to the data code from JSON placeholder. Okay, it's quite straightforward here, and I know it's kind of confusing because I haven't looked at what promises yet in detail, but know that in this case, as I'm saying, I'm setting the data, the JSON. This just makes some data instead of having JSON. JSON is kind of confusing. There's the data here. Okay, data here, data. Okay, good. So here I'm going to use the map method. I'm going to say don't map. Sorry, this don't state. Okay, dot map. Okay, because you're going to repeat this thing when finalizing our React app, so our blog app. Okay, so this dot data dot map. Okay, and map of course takes in a callback function. So I'll get maybe here, let's call it data still. Then I'm going to name it. Okay, then I can just come and say this just what before we do that, this just return. I want to return some JSX. Okay, so that I'm going to maybe I can div here. We'll look at all this later on, like that, and good. A div with some values. Okay, and our first value, if you look at our fetch API, open the right place here, our fetch API here, then first sequence this up. Okay, it has 200 values together, and you can see they have what I call a title and a completed. Okay, they have an ID, say an ID here, their title, then a completed value. Okay, so what I do is okay, someone come and say I want to have an H1 saying go look at all this data. Okay, I want it to be data. Okay, don't title, got into title. Okay, the title data, and next part it has this square paragraph. Let's say data don't, let's see, I think this is have here, so this is have a span here. Okay, a span. Okay, let's start saying data dot id and see what's happening. Okay, there will be some error happening, but what's happening here? There's an error here. Let's move this. Good. Okay. Format. Good. So this is just we're just looking through the data and maybe creating some HTML elements. Okay. Some basics. Okay. And let's see. Okay. Let's see how it works. Okay. And I'm going to show you why we need the component mount, because I think we're running out of time, but I'm going to be a bit fast. Okay. So now I'm going to export this. Let me export this. Okay. Export here. Export default. And of course, if you feel like you're confused somewhere, please post in the chat so that you can go over all this. Okay, you can go over all this. And if you feel like you're lacking in some kind of let's say, okay, if you feel like you're lacking in some certain JavaScript part, please post in the chat. You can still post in the on Slack. Okay, like need to cover a topic, because planning on Friday we have a JavaScript object-oriented programming lesson. We're going to be looking at classes, promises. I think all like trying to cover all JavaScript basics. Until this you're confident. Okay. So yeah, we'll just go ahead I'm up and put it just down here. Okay. I'm going to say it's called life cycle. I think life cycle. Of course, I hope it works. This. Okay. Did it come? So I'm going to put it one more time. Let's report. I'm reporting from the slash. Is it the slash component? Not index, component slash life cycle task. Okay? And this I'm reporting life cycle. Just that life cycle. Yeah, let's start. Okay, let's set this and see. Okay. Of course, it should just give us some data or an error. Okay, whatever comes is okay. Okay, and because there's no data. Wait, the data is here. Okay. This inspect. Okay, and see. Okay, let's inspect. This is a bit weird, but let's inspect. Okay, so there's some. I think there's some error. Okay. And this error is like each child saying of course we have seen the data. This data which is coming from our app. Okay, so it's a bit weird. Maybe I should put that as space. The styling is off. Okay. Let's just put here some space. Just can make it a bit better. Just here. Put some space, just try to make it a bit kind of more space. So I think it now looks a bit better. Okay, good. Okay, and you can see all that news, okay, coming from our API. Okay, but the trick is, okay, why we're using component mount, why we're using lifecycle testing, because once you don't check, because suppose once you load the app and say in this case you're saying, okay, in this case if you don't put the page inside the document mount, okay, once the data comes in, your app will have no way of knowing how you update it. Okay, remember last time when we are picking data from the application last time, what we did last time was it was one did like for the first time, which was the do up. Okay, do up here, right out. Good. Just open up the source code here, and I'll show why we did that. Okay. Yeah, I know this is just text, but last time we used to have to load. Okay, say every time we need to do what you have to load. Okay, the page. Every time you add to do, you have to load the page. Okay, look at this last time, but we look like if you understand that you had to always load. Okay, to update the data, okay, on the page, okay. You have to always reload, okay, to update, okay, the data, change data, all that, okay. Every time you make a new change, you have to reload, okay. But with things like use state, things like component mount, okay, it gives us a functionality without having to reload the page together, because React gives us that thing of having directive change, okay, of components, okay. Plus us have auto-loading of components, so we don't need to actually go ahead and reload the page manually, okay. Load a new resource, okay. Go look at all the data, but I just want to show you just this, okay, a simple page, okay, with component mount, okay. And in our case, the component about the key, I think with React, you just have to put a key here, key value, and yes, equal to data, okay, with ID. I think it will go away. Just that, okay. But all this is just an introduction, okay. I'm going to be slowly, so some of you may like, I'll do all these things, but for those who don't know, I'm going as slow as possible, okay, so at least you can understand what's, okay. This is an introduction to classification methods, okay. And I'll show you, and because I would be using, personally, I left using class components, okay. I'm stuck to React hooks, okay. So that's why maybe I'm being a bit reluctant to explain all the details of part of class of less methods, because we'll be using them, okay. We'll actually stop using this, okay, in our application. I prefer, personally, I prefer using React hooks, because I think that's the future, okay. I don't like using class components, okay, because I don't like to deal with I prefer functional programming as a person. Yeah, I usually prefer functional programming. That's why I will maybe in my case I'll be how bias about business classes, okay. So, but you know that this is how you try out a component, but I suppose that, okay. Because if I had this outside, okay, outside my application, okay, outside here, outside this, and hopefully I haven't moved some things. This, okay. So maybe if I had a function, okay, a function, a method called maybe get data, okay, get data like that, get like that, okay, like that together, okay, get data. Why is it complaining? Okay. Okay, it's why it's complaining, but why is it complaining? Okay, I put another function here, another function like that. Okay. Yeah. So once you see, in this case, right now I'm saying I'm putting a function to get data. Okay. But question is, where do I call it? Okay. How do I load get data in my component, okay? That's when you that's why you either call the function inside the component mount, okay? Or you write the whole fetch statement, okay? So here I can maybe do this, okay? I can say this, okay? Because in this case I'm asking myself, where would I call this function, okay? Would I call it, should I make a button and then click, okay? To the data, which is kind of dynamic, okay? So in our case, we are saying I want to load the data once the component mounts, okay? So you can say get data here, okay? That's enough, okay? The same thing as we did last time, we did before, but it's just, I guess we're extracting it, okay? From what? So remember, this is JavaScript, so not React, okay? This part of functions, everything is JavaScript, okay? So maybe this component mount is a function provided by what? By JavaScript, by React, but it's still JavaScript, okay? That's how you can extract the function from here, paste outside, then call it, okay? It's up to you, okay? Yeah, so with that I'll stop here, okay? And then I'll show you how to maybe do the same thing, okay? With what? With React together, with React hooks, okay? So I'm going to leave it as it is, okay? Put a new file, maybe I'll call it get data, call it to do, okay, to do getter. It's that. It's a weird name, okay, but to do getter, okay. Of course, I'm going to do the import, okay. Okay. I'll say import, real quick, import React, okay. Okay. Because today I just wanted to introduce you to this, but on Wednesday you're going to try to create the to do app. You're going to be faster to do app in what? In both using lifecycle methods and also using what? Using React hooks. Okay. So maybe of course here also I think I need to call in. I use state, okay, because I'm going to use state, okay. Okay, and also some code use effect, okay. Let's start also because I create my app. I'll call it maybe to do getter. Then I'm out of name it, okay. I'm just naming it this name because I'm out of names, okay. So of course I'm going to return some fragment, a fragment which I said it's just an empty div which will appear on our page, okay. Then of course I'll bring it. We can say my to-dos here. And h1 and h2 saying my to-dos. Okay. Very simple, okay. Then here of course I export default, okay, default to do getter. Let's do getter there. Then then I'll create a state, okay, a state like the way we did it here, okay, a state which is this state, okay, data. So I'll say go back to, let me just close this up, it's confusing. Yeah, to getter, I just say, remember all your hooks have to be inside the function, okay. So I'll say const, okay, const. I hope to look at the structuring, okay. And if you are confused about the structuring, let me share a link about the structuring, okay. The structuring in JavaScript, yeah, and this is what we call array destructuring together, okay. So we are saying, okay, the same thing as okay. Simply saying, let me show you. I say data, okay, data, comma here, set data, okay, set data equals to use state, okay, and then the data will of course be an empty array at the beginning, okay. So let me just bring up the destructuring, okay. Good, okay. So this is what we're doing there. It's called array destruction together. Array destruction is simply saying, okay, you simply get the values from an array together, then give them constants, okay. We'll assign them to different constants, okay. So maybe I'm having these two names, this and this together, the two names. And in our case, if you look at the use state function, it returns an array. You can see in this case here, it returns an array together, an array with something called initial state together, initial state, then the React dispatch or the state action, okay. So this let's type here down here, okay, that returns, okay, returns together, returns initial state, okay, initial state together, then the set state action, okay, together. So in my case, I'm simply saying, okay, I'm simply saying, let me see, I'm saying constant, okay, an example, constant data, okay, equals to use state like that. Then I'm saying get the first item which is 0, okay, to next 0, okay. Then go ahead and const, supposed to be const, okay, const, okay, set state, okay, set data, okay, like that, equals to use state. Then I'm saying I want to return index 2, okay. This is an example, okay. Actually, for example, okay, this is how array destruction works, okay. Kind of a new syntax which makes things so much easier. Other than me writing two constants here, I simply put them in one value, then equate them, okay, together. And of course, here I'll say the initial value is what? Is 0, okay, because it takes in a value, okay, and the value becomes the initial state, okay. Okay. We're going to look at ES6 syntax on Friday, okay. All this, we're going to look at all the code review, okay. But not that's how it works, okay. And I've shared with the link. You can look at the array structure link, and you understand it a bit, okay. Now I'm simply saying set the data, which is the initial state, okay, to an empty string. Then this function will be the one which will change our data, okay. This data is the same thing as okay, welcome symbol, okay. So so in our case, I'm simply saying, okay, this don't state, okay, the same thing as this, okay. That's not the same thing, but I'm saying in my mind that's how I understand, okay. I'm saying that's how you should visualize it. I'm saying data and this are the same, okay. Then this don't state the same as set data, okay. Set data can be anything, okay. That can be maybe set something, okay, doesn't matter, okay. And of course they will tell you if you ask for what okay, they will tell you constant set data equals to react dispatch react to state action, okay. And of course it's a constant, okay. Same thing if you look at here, they'll say constant data equals to any, okay. And any means that it's equal to any value, okay. And any value, this is just it's TypeScript, okay. Simply saying data is equals to, maybe it can be an array, can be a string, can be whatever, okay, any type, okay. So in our case, okay, together we're going to set, okay. So you can what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here and copy this, okay, copy this, because they're almost the same thing, okay. To copy this this TV, okay, starting from here, okay. I'm going to copy this, okay, because I'm lazy, okay. I'm going to retype again and here, okay. And to be a programmer, you have to be some kind of you want to make things a bit easier for you, okay. So instead of having this one setting, I'm going to have data, okay, with that data here, okay. Let's save this, okay. Then before I actually go ahead and fetch that, okay, I'm going to just look at documentation for something called use state, okay, use effect, okay, and React hooks here, the API reference, okay, and of course you're saying the use state, we looked at use state last time, so use effect, okay, and use effect is almost the same thing as component did what did mount, okay. Same thing as component mount, component update, all that, okay. It just does so much, okay, together, and accepts a function that so that whatever once your data changes, okay, automatically changes, okay. And I think by default effects run after every completed render, okay, but you can choose I don't know, it's okay. You're simply saying once something happens, okay, in your data, this use effect will run, okay, together. Then let's try that, okay, let's try that. It's quite so straightforward, okay. So in our case here, okay, remember all the hooks has to be inside our function. So I'll simply say use, not capital U, rather small u, use effect, okay. And this effect is quite straightforward there, okay. And it takes the callback. Let's first check are you sure? Because it takes in a callback function together. It says effect callback function. Okay? And of course you can look at here. Okay, look at VS Code gives you if you're good, you can always make things like your life is okay. It says text in a callback function together. Text in a callback function. Okay, access a function that contains all that stuff. Okay, but in our case, we want to just text in a callback function. Okay, yeah. Let's first format this to make it a bit clearer. Okay, yeah. So text in a callback function, and our callback function in our case here, our callback function is what we call the fetch. Okay, so back to our lifecycle methods. Okay, I want to go ahead and copy this the fetch. Okay, the fetch. Note that the get data function and the fetch. Okay, the fetch. Remember that at all this later on Friday, but now I want us to have a intro. Okay, so test there. Instead of having this consistent, of course, I want to have set data. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, set data, set data, set data. Okay, and instead of equating to these two, I simply insert the whole data, okay, the whole object. So I just move these two. Okay, and that's smart. Okay, yeah, and I think it will work the same way. Hopefully, okay, it will work the same way. And let's save this. Okay? And then check our application. Where is our application? Here React app. Okay, refresh. It still works the same way. It works. Okay, and you can see with fetch, because it's a promise-based library. Once you load the page, okay, if you first look at it, okay, it's waiting, then to load together. That means it is waiting. Okay, it's asynchronous. Okay, it has to wait somehow. So for you to do your asynchronous features of JavaScript, which we're gonna be exploring on Friday, we have to use something called use effects. Okay, if you're using your classes, use something called component mount. Okay, or component mount. Okay, but now the most common one is component mount. Okay, so today we're going to do an introduction. Okay, to lifecycle methods and React hooks. Okay, and on Wednesday I want to build an app. Okay, so I'm going to share some links for you to read about React hooks. Okay, and especially things the two command which you have to know if you're going to use React. Okay, they are the two basic ones. Okay, the two which you have this to build some basic applications. I think we should have introduction hooks. Okay. No. Okay. API reference. Hooks. Should have API reference. Yeah. So the ones which you have to know, use set and use effect. Okay. I'm going to look at use context data, but context allows us to have something about property, but you don't need to know use effect currently. You need to know use set and use effect together. I'll share the links in the chat. Please look at this too, okay? Because currently I want to go back to look at that. I want to look at plans, okay? Right now, I don't advise, rather I encourage you to look at React hooks and to use try them out. They make your work a bit faster and your code looks cleaner and more beautiful, okay? Compared to classes, in my opinion, okay? Yeah, so look at use state and use effect, okay? And I think the best way for you to understand this is through the documentation. Read through, okay? It's so straightforward. It actually, if you feel like maybe the word is a bit kind of new, maybe like limitations, go ahead and copy and paste it somewhere, such about limitations, okay? New limitation, okay? Do subscription in programming. All this will allow you to actually understand it more better, okay? Because I'm giving you my opinion about this, but you understanding for your own next things better for you as a developer. And of course, that's why, okay, and they're comparing you, they try to compare with all this, okay, so the conditional file global effect, all that, okay, will come in later, okay. You can look at this, okay, in detail on Wednesday, but I want to introduce you to this, okay, and please go ahead and read through at least by Wednesday, because on Wednesday this will be interactive. To be mostly you who will be reading it, not me, okay. Okay, so your band will be advising you things, right? So please read about use state and use effect. These two. Others usually use callback, all these will come later, but for now won't be needing them. Just let's know these two. The use effect and use state. It's quite straightforward and easy to use, okay? And also for classes, this one which we have to know in your mind is one is component mode and the component mode. Others is very advancing, okay? That's why I did this others, but others in the beginning, the one which is commonly used is the use, so the component data update, okay? So the life cycle that which you have to do some extent is component mount, okay? Others you don't need to know them that much, okay? Because you rarely use them, okay? You only use them when you need to do some tricky things. But for basic apps you're gonna be building by now, and you don't need to know things like component mount, component dispatch, all that, okay? You just need to know just component mount, and for our React hooks component, so use state and use effect. So when you're advancing, when we are creating more complicated things and more complicated logic, we'll be needing others, okay? For now, use effect and use state. That's what I advise you to look at, okay? Understand better, okay? I'm going to give you maybe the next 2 minutes. Have any questions?